Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing today on this Friday?
I'm always happy on a Friday.
It's always good. End of the week.
I'm so happy about the mess.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, well, what a game it was.
What a game.
Crowd was going crazy. Everyone around us going absolutely nuts. We were at that
We were
game.
there.
No, it was an exciting sight to see Francisco Lindor hitting that grand slam in the sixth inning. It
was bedlam.
Yeah.
When that happened, bedlam.
Well, it didn't look
crazy.
like it didn't look like it was going in the Mets' favor because they couldn't score any runs. 6 people left on base in the first 2 innings. It was pretty brutal, but they ended up pulling it out thanks to a Francisco Lindor home run. We'll talk about that game and the outlook of the Mets now heading to the NLCS. We'll talk about that later on in the show. But let's begin with our first topic of today's show, which is last night's game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks, where the 49ers nearly gave up another double-digit second half lead. They were up by 20 points. Like I said, nearly lost it to the Seattle Seahawks, but they held on. They ran for 228 yards. They got 3 turnovers. They moved to 3-3. They're tied now for the lead in the NFC West. Brock Purdy played pretty efficiently. 18 of 28, 255 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Meanwhile, Geno Smith, he threw it 52 times. 30 of 52, 312 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 pretty brutal interceptions. Throughout the beginning of the year, because Pro Football Focus, what I saw with my eyes, the Seahawks did have the best defense in the NFL, and they definitely came back down to earth the past couple weeks with losses against Daniel Jones and now a pretty bruised San Francisco 49ers team. But I want to know, were you more impressed with the 49ers or more disappointed in the Seattle Seahawks?
I would say I was impressed with the 49ers, more impressed with them this game. I'd say my takeaways from this game, Brock Purdy, perfect against the Seahawks. I mean, he's really settling in. He's never lost to Seattle. He had a great game last night. Quarterback rating 129.3, 18 to 28, 255 yards, 3 TDs. Couldn't have played much better. He had some big plays. He had that play to Deebo Samuel, 76 yards. He had passes to two, and Deebo scored a touchdown. He had 5 catches, 58 yards for Kittle. He had 2 Ds, so they were cooking last night. And this guy, Geraldo, he had 10 rushes for 99 yards, 1 run for 76 yards. That was pretty impressive too. But I don't think that on the running side of the ball of the game, I think that it's more about Jordan Mason, who is really making a name for himself now. He's second leading rusher in the NFL. Last night he had 9 rushes for 73 yards. He did hurt his shoulder and was cleared to come back in, but it obviously was hurting him because he only had 1 carry for 8 yards after that. Couple other takeaways here. Matthew Wright replacing Mooney. He had 3 field goals, 25, 41, and 35. he hit all his extra points, so that was positive for them. I mean, that could be a problem. And Mooney's a really good kicker. And to bring some guy in his first game there and have him be perfect, I think that was big. The special teams, Luder caused Chenault to fumble, and they recovered. It was recovered by Bethune, resulted in a field goal for the 49ers, so the special teams were good. The rookies, Malik Mustafa, was in for the injured Hufanga, picked off Smith. Another rookie, Ronaldo Green, he picked off Smith too midway through the fourth quarter, and that was a big play. I would say other things that I've noted here, the first half, the 49ers jump out to a 16-3 lead. But again, they were haunted by just kind of like the Ravens, letting teams back in the game. By the end of the third quarter, it was 23-17. So the Seahawks were right back in it. And with 1:44 left to play, it was 29-24. But then they had that 76-yard run, and that sealed it for the 49ers. Penalties, 5 for 34 for the 49ers, 9 penalties for the Seahawks. Total yards, 483 yards for the 49ers, 358 for the Seahawks. And I mentioned the passing. Geno Smith, he had a lot of yards. He threw the ball too many times. They haven't got a running game. I'll come back after your commentary with my takeaways on the Seahawks.
Sure. When I think about this game, it reminds me of a couple things. The first one would be that this offense, this Kyle Shanahan offense, is really pick and play because this is just a bunch of low-drafted guys outperforming where their draft place was. In some of the cases, undrafted guys outperforming what anybody thought because nobody drafted them. Garendo going absolutely off in this game, and I think the Seahawks actually have a problem. A bunch of their interior defensive players are banged up right now, and also Reek Woolen on the outside. He's also banged up, so the defense was suffering for the Seahawks, and it showed because we had undrafted guys tearing it up against the Seahawks defense. Also, what I'll say is Nick Bosa is still one of the top defenders in the NFL. He had 14 pressures. The number of pressures that Geno Smith actually had on the game, which I believe was 28, which means that it was just Nick Bosa who was accounting for 24 of his 53 dropbacks. He was pressured. So Nick Bosa had more than half of all of Geno Smith's pressures. The right side of the Seahawks offensive line was absolutely getting torched in this game. If you break it down into actual pressures based on the offensive linemen, when it comes to the Seahawks, let's see. Forsythe, the right tackle, had 10 pressures accounted to him. Bradford, the right guard, 7 pressures. By the way, penalties were also a massive factor. Charles Cross, who is their best offensive lineman, did have 2 penalties drawn on him. So when it comes down to it, the 49ers defense is still top of the league because you also had rookies coming up big. You mentioned a couple of the interceptions. And here's the last part about it. Geno Smith is still just a guy. He's still just a guy. He's not a guy that's really reinvigorating his career. Yes, he had one really good season and then one okay season where he started coming back down to earth. But now we're seeing that Geno Smith, he leads the league in passing yards? Oh, that's great. What has it gotten you? Not much. And right now your team is reeling. So what are we going to say in the next couple weeks if we see the same performance right now that we see out of the Seattle Seahawks? They're a decent team. They still need a quarterback. That's the big billboard, neon lights. We still need a quarterback because they do. Geno Smith's not going to get you very far. If you do make it to the playoffs somehow, he won't win a playoff game, or if he does, it'll be to a team like the New York Giants or the Washington Commanders if they just start to fall apart, but somehow win enough games to make it to make it to the dance. So I'll just say this. Geno Smith, still just a guy. He's an okay quarterback. Is he one of the top 15 quarterbacks in the NFL? I think right now, no. I don't think there are many of those quarterbacks that are iffy that I would choose below Geno Smith because he's just a guy. He had all of his guys healthy. JSN, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. They had Kenneth Walker back, Charbonnet in the backfield. They didn't run it enough. Could that be scheme? Very well could be. But if you have Kenneth Walker back, and actually early in the game, the Seahawks were actually doing a pretty decent job at running the football. But late in the game, you got down by so much because your defense, it was all banged up. So we saw Jordan Mason, and then ended up being Garendo just run right through your defense, and then the icer, which was the 76-yard run that clinched the game for the Niners. But I am a little bit nervous because we've seen it multiple times now that the 49ers, when it comes down to the second half, and especially in the fourth quarter, we saw it against the Rams, and we saw it just last week against the Cardinals. Are they the Ravens 2.0? I think there's a potential chance that they're getting a little bit of a bad habit of not being able to hold on, and that is due to Brock Purdy and his interceptions. Brock Purdy really falls apart in the second half this season. I think he has like
last night.
Well, yeah, not last night, but we're talking like 80 or so passer rating in the second half compared to like a 120 in the first half. So that first half split is insane. So Brock Purdy has really been a major detriment in the second half. In this game, He was perfect. He played very well. There were a couple missed throws, but every quarterback has them. No mistakes, which is big. Offense got clicking pretty early, and even with the injuries, they still were able to come up big. So for me, I was much more impressed with the Niners because they had to do their job after taking a devastating loss, really a choke job against the Cardinals.
Yeah. Well, I'd say the measuring stick for the 49ers now is next week when they play Kansas City.
Yeah.
And we'll be watching that game. That should be a great one to watch. They need to beat Kansas City. I think that really is be a statement game for them to prove that they really are of the caliber that they were last year when they did go to the Super Bowl and lost to Kansas City when they led twice, once in the fourth quarter and once in overtime, and still couldn't pull it out. Going over to the Seahawks, I wouldn't be quite as tough on Geno Smith as you are. I think that to be a really good quarterback in this league, you got to have a running game, and the Seahawks don't have it. Their offensive line, their offensive line is not what it needs to be. There are too many pressures on Geno Smith. But my main takeaway here is you can't win when you're turning the ball over 3 times and you have no running game. And I don't know why they don't have a running game. Kenneth Walker is a quality running back. He was in there last night. He was healthy. 14 rushes for 32 yards. That's not going to get it done. Now they've got a 3-game losing streak. Their coach said the guys played their tails off, but we're not playing well enough to beat the team we needed to beat. The defense allowed 2 plays of 76 yards and 5 plays of 20 yards. 9 penalties for 69 yards, as I mentioned before. 52-yard TD strike to Metcalf, which was a pretty good play by Geno Smith, right? With under 5 minutes to play, negated by an illegal shift. Seahawks are -6 in turnovers this season. Only forced 1 turnover in their last 5 games. They didn't sack Purdy at all. They only had 4 quarterback hits on him. They're lucky they've got a bye week coming up for them. They need to get together and figure out what's going on. They lost 3 games in a row.
Well, I'll say this. I have one critique of Brock Purdy minus the occasional overthrow, underthrow, whatever the case may be. I don't know what it is about. Maybe it's just this game or over the course of the entire season, but in this game in particular, I saw him actually step into being pressured. And the numbers account for it. According to PFF, 31% of his pressures came from his own mistakes, his own ability to get pressured. He was stepping in the pressure much more than I've seen. He looked a little bit frantic sometimes when the offensive line wouldn't collapse. It seemed, at least he made it seem like it collapsed. There was a play to Jawan Jennings where he stepped up in the pocket, pretty unnecessarily, got pressured, had to swing to the outside and was able to get it to Jennings. But Jennings in that play was open basically from the get-go. So that's really the only critique I have. But other than that, I thought Purdy played very, very well. It's the guy at 9.1 yards an attempt, which is insane. I thought he played very well in this game. Geno, on the other hand, opening drive, was able to drive basically the entire length of the field and throw an end zone interception. That's not what you want to do. That is self-inflicted wounds, and then a little bit of a miscommunication or whatever it was. The interception that was thrown targeted to DK Metcalf. Metcalf was on a simple crossing route, a simple, was it drag route, whatever the case may be, an in route. But then he decided to break up the field, so the 49ers defender just undercut the route, easy interception. I don't know if that's miscommunication. I don't know if that's just a poor decision by DK to decide to go up the field. I'm not sure, but I'm not putting that interception on Geno because DK decided, you know what, let me break up field instead of just continuing my route. So, I thought the Seahawks, you had the Seahawks covering this game. I thought the 49ers, after losing that poorly, both these teams got upset last week. to the New York Giants and absolutely getting smoked in the running game. And then the 49ers, who were leading essentially the entire game. And then late in the second half, the Cardinals were able to mount a comeback. I thought the 49ers would definitely capitalize on that. Meanwhile, the Seahawks had a glaring issue going against the team that ran the ball very well, even with undrafted guys, even with rookies. So for me, this was an easy pick. 49ers, effective run game. Seahawks getting cooked by backup and third-string running backs. And that's what it showed this time. Now, if the Seahawks get healthy, will they go back to being a top defense in the league? Sure. I don't doubt that they'll at least make strides at being one of the top defense in the league. But as it currently stands, the Seahawks do not look good. I don't see them succeeding a lot in the near future. So we'll have to wait and see. But for me, Gino, still just a guy. 49ers, still a great defense. They go up against the Falcons next week, the Seahawks do, at Falcons versus Bills.
What do you think about the 49ers against Kansas City, huh?
I think, you know what? The 49ers will win that game.
Yeah.
49ers will win that game. Pacheco's, I think, still going to be out. Rice is done for the year. Who knows if Juju will have another great game? Yeah. I'm not sure.
He had over 100 yards in the last game.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's versus Chiefs and versus Cowboys. That's the big thing. You're at home in the next two games. You're going to blow out the Cowboys. You always do. The Chiefs, I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Kansas City just doesn't look right. They get wins, but it just doesn't look good.
Yeah.
It's penalties, toe touch out of bounds, self-inflicted wounds on the other team. I mean, the Chiefs are just getting away with, I'm not calling it a cheap win, but I think they're a little bit lucky this year.
Yeah, so far.
I think they're lucky. And if you get Javarius Ward back, if the 49ers get healthier for next week, I think it's going to be I don't know what the point spread is for next week, but I'm picking the 49ers. This is my little preview for week 7. Yeah. I'm picking the 49ers over the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think the Kansas City carryover from last year, finding a way to win no matter what.
Yeah,
so far they've done it. Heart of a champion. So far this year they've had it.
Yeah. All right, let's get into our next topic, and this is actually a first one for the main part of the show. We're talking a little bit about baseball because the New York Mets were able to close out the NLDS against the Philadelphia Phillies, beating them in a 4-1 game to close out the series in a 3-1 win. After sitting 11 games under 500 back in May 29th of this year, New York is only now 4 wins away from making it back to the World Series, their first time since 2015. They will face either the Padres or the Dodgers. They actually play tonight, a little bit after this show ends. The Padres and the Dodgers will conclude their series. But I want to know, though, do you think the Mets, regardless of who they're playing, the Dodgers or the Padres, can keep this momentum that they've had basically for the second half of the season and now into the playoffs? Can they keep that momentum up to potentially make it to another World Series?
Well, I would say that the Mets owe their this streak that they're on to the wild card game. In the last game, it looked like they were beat. They were down 2-0. Pete Alonso stepped up to the plate. Well, first Lindor drew a walk. Then Nimmo got a single. Then Alonso stepped up there and hit that home run. Put them up 3-2. They got an insurance run. That was like a nuclear bomb going off for the Mets. They found something there, and that gave them a momentum and an enthusiasm that carried over into this Philadelphia series where they won the first game. They lost the second game, but it was a very close game. I mean, it was right down to the end. The hit by Castellano to walk-off win for them. It was 7-6, so it was a very close game. And then to come home and win the first one, and then the other night to win in such dramatic fashion with the Lindor home run, grand slam, after they loaded the bases in the first and second innings, couldn't get a run in, had runners on base and multiple times in innings after that. I think they had 9 runners stranded at the time Lindor hit that grand slam, man. That was something. We were there. It was bedlam when he hit that grand slam. I'd never seen anything like it. The stadium was rocking. And it was loud, boy. Everyone was screaming for a couple of minutes. And then at the end of the game, then they they had to hang on to win. and Peterson came in. He was doing great. He was cruising, and they chose to pull him out in the ninth to put Diaz in there, a guy who has had somewhat checkered past. When the lights were the brightest, he proceeded to walk the first two batters. We were shaking in our boots. My heart was in my throat. And then he managed to find a way to get himself out of it. But the runners were on second and third, tying run at the plate with Schwarber, the number one home run hitter for the Phillies for past several years, and a clutch player. But he's never had a hit against Diaz, and it continued on. He's 0 for 10 now, and Diaz got out of it. And what a game!
No, it was incredible, and I think let's take it back a little bit before this series, and actually let's take it back even before the Mets playoffs started, because we have to realize how we got here. We have to remember that in that weird where the MLB, a lot of people thought the MLB screwed over the Mets by having that doubleheader against the Braves. I don't know if you remember that. A couple weeks ago, they had that doubleheader because they had to postpone it due to, I think, some sort of storm or something happened. I forget the exact details of it. But they had to play that doubleheader, and the Mets needed one of those games to make it in. And it was looking like they were actually not going to make it. And then Lindor, in a very, very late heroic fashion, as he did kind of in this game, was able to actually hit a home run to put the Mets even into the dance. And then the second one is the one you just mentioned, the Pete Alonso massive home run, when once again they looked like they were down and out. He was able to hit a nice blast to put the Mets over, to have them beat the Milwaukee Brewers. And then in this game, the Mets offense so far in that game was actually pretty decent. In the first two innings, they had the bases loaded each time. But then when it came down to it, you left them on base. You could not get in any runs. And then when the Phillies were able to score one run, at that point, the Mets were kind of reeling offensively. Couldn't get a lot of people on base, striking out, pop fly, could not get anything going. And then finally, when they put in Hoffman, it looks like the floodgates just opened, and he was shaking in his boots a little bit because it was hit, walk, hit. And then eventually, J.D. Martinez got tagged out, or I guess it was a force out at home. Then Lindor steps up. The count was 2-1, I believe. Just blasted. I think the projected distance was 398 feet, and it was insane. It was the second grand slam in Mets postseason history, which is absurd. Yeah. But I think when it comes down to how is the outlook going to be now, I think the Mets should actually be looking at the Padres to somehow come out on top and beat LA tonight, because they're 5-2 in the regular season here.
Yeah, they're 2-4 against the Dodgers.
Right, and I think when it comes down to it, the Phillies, yes, they have a decent bullpen, not great quality starters. Meanwhile, the Dodgers have three very good starters, incredible starters, that if the Mets go up against, right, because this is going to be a best-of-7 series. If you have your three quality starters out there, it's going to be a tough time to score some runs. Yeah. However, maybe not. Maybe there is hope, because currently, and it's ridiculous to say, the Mets currently lead the postseason in RBIs, in hits, in strikeouts, and in quality starts, and tied for first in stolen bases. They are one of the best offensive teams in Major League Baseball right now, and they also have the most wins when it comes to pitchers.
Yeah, I would say the game the other night, one thing that was really important was Quintana's pitching.
Yeah.
He was excellent. The one run he did to give up was unearned, and the rest of the pitching staff was excellent as well, and that's a big thing. If their pitching can be as good as it was the other night, man, they're going to be tough to beat, and I'm hoping that the Padres win tonight.
Oh, well, and another thing. We look at some of the way that the pitchers were throwing. They were trying to get the Phillies to chase a lot, and the Phillies took the bait a bunch of times. The Padres and the Dodgers, especially the Dodgers, they don't chase. So what Edwin Diaz was doing late, trying to get people to chase and just overall inaccuracy, that's not going to work very well against the Dodgers. It's not going to work well against the Padres. They're going to have to be more accurate with their pitches. They're going to need to locate the strike zone much better than they did, at least in this game. So right now, Mets are on a very, very hot streak. Will that continue? I think it's going to be tough for the Mets to keep going with the way they're doing. But I think when it comes down to what we're looking at right now, the situation is bullpens are getting thin. Starters are getting tired. People are getting used up a lot. The Dodgers just had to go on a bullpen game real quick and somehow pulled out with an 8-0 win because the Padres decided to play Dylan Cease way too early. He tried to do a short rest and got blown out of the gates. So I think the Padres, they're going to need to step it up tonight. It's going to be in Los Angeles. It's going to be a very difficult task for a Padres team that's actually was in a similar situation early. Disappointing season last year, not great first half of the season, and then the second half they started to really take off. The Mets were probably one of, if not the worst team in baseball, at least in the National League, in May, and they somehow bounced back. Could we see a recreation of a particular event that happened decades ago?
You got to believe.
I think there's an opportunity for the Mets.
Amazing. You got to believe.
I'll say this. Last season when they had the highest payroll, I had the Mets winning. Was I too early? Was I 1 year too early?
I guess so. It looks that way.
I think there's a chance that I was a little bit too early. Should we take a break? Yeah, let's take a break. Coming up, the Jets and the Bills face off. This is the first time Robert Salah will not be the head coach of the New York Jets, while they also won't have Nathaniel Hackett calling plays. One got fired, one got demoted. We'll talk about that against the Bills team that is completely falling apart in front of our eyes, as well as we make the rest of Week 6's predictions and picks, and a Harvey hot end. We need to bounce back after a 2-3 week last week, but we will do that, and we'll talk about that and break all that down right after this break.
Traveling can be a nightmare. Why? You can't watch your favorite shows abroad. You can't trust public Wi-Fi spots anymore. And when you return, roaming bills kill your vibe. Unless you get a NordVPN and Saley deal. NordVPN will increase your privacy online. And Saley, a global eSIM data app, will save you from those unexpected roaming charges. Grab the 2-year NordVPN deal with 76% off and get up to 20 gigabytes Saley eSIM data gift.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the comment.
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with, where they're finding inner balance, and why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world listens.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic of today's show. It's time to discuss, predict, preview, and break down the matchup between AFC East rivals, the New York Jets and the Buffalo Bills. The Bills seem like they're falling apart in recent weeks, and now it's not looking any better with some of their key players probably not going to go, like James Cook, their superstar running back, and Khalil Shakir, who is Josh Allen's favorite target after Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis departed in this past offseason, while the New York Jets are without head coach Robert Salah. In his place, interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich, who is the DC, as well as brand new offensive coordinator, offensive play caller rather, Todd Downing, who was the quarterback coach, which, if we remember, in the offseason during the 2-minute drill, Todd Downing replaced Nathaniel Hackett in that situation, and we said maybe that's a precursor of what is to come, and reportedly Robert Salah was going to demote Nathaniel Hackett anyway and replace him with Todd Downing. So Ulbrich is completing a decision that Robert Salah was about to make anyway. So this was already coming, but I want to know, though, should the Bills actually be fearing an upset with a potentially new life in the Jets with a new head coach and a new offensive play caller?
I don't think so. Actually, I think the Jets, rather than finding a new enthusiasm and being hyped and ready to go against the Bills with a new head coach and a new OC, are wondering what the hell happened. Why did Salah get fired? Why did Hackett get demoted? For that matter, I mean, you look at Salah. He was 2-3. If he won this game against the Bills, he'd be in first place in his division. The game against the Vikings, who the number one power ranked team in the NFL, playing over in London. You had a chance to win several times. You could have won that game. It was Aaron Rodgers that was the problem. He threw 3 interceptions in that game. Should Hackett be demoted because Rodgers threw 3 interceptions? I'm not so sure. I think this game is going to the Bills, and we're going to make our picks here later on, but I'll give you a preview of that. I'd say despite the offensive miscues and the third down breakdowns on defense last week, the Bills played the Texans very close, resulting in a last-second loss. And I really don't think the Bills have fallen apart. I think they've suffered some injuries that have made it more difficult for them. They played every team close. The games they've lost, they've been exciting games, and they've been very close. They made it a game against the Texans. They should have. They showed impressive grit, I think, and they need to stop staking the other team to 3-score leads on the road. That's a killer, and that's happened to them repeatedly now. They've got to stop doing that. Allen needs to be. He's got to respond better to pressure, and the receivers need to stop dropping passes. I think if you can correct those mistakes, you're going to be a winner, and I think you'll be a winner against the Jets anyway. Even though Rodgers took ownership for his poor performance in the London loss to the Vikings, the defense had their hands full early on with the Vikings. They got behind. All this was overshadowed by Salah's firing on Tuesday, which to me was very surprising, as I just mentioned. Ulbrich left to pick up the pieces with really no time to assess everyone's feelings about the current mess. And I understand the players were shocked that Salah was fired, and I understand why. He really deserved that one more game against the Bills. And if they won that game, he'd be fine. Will the Jets trade for Adams? I think after this loss that I think is coming on Monday night, I don't think Adams is going to want to come to the Jets. We'll have to wait and see. Hackett's been downgraded. Todd Dowling is going to be calling the plays. The Jets' offense now ranked 27th overall, 286 yards a game, number 32 in rushing. How can that be when you have Hall back there? He's supposed to be one of the best running backs in the game. How are they only rushing for 80 yards a game? Rodgers has been sacked 8 times, hit 25 times in the past 2 weeks. His comments this week, we all feel terrible about the opportunity we had and squandered that led to the Salah getting fired and Hackett being demoted. I play better, this doesn't happen. We play better on offense, this doesn't happen. It puts the spotlight on us, and now it's on us to do this. I know Rodgers feels bad about Salah being fired, but my thinking is he had something to do with it. As he was talking to Woody Johnson on Monday night, the next day, Salah was fired, and they said they never even spoke about Salah in the conversation on Monday night. I doubt it.
Well, I find it very, very peculiar that you talk about the game, you talk about a performance, and then the next morning, less than 12 hours later, your head coach gets fired. I still believe it's very, very weird that never came up in conversation. Now, could it be that Rodgers is like, okay, we need to make some changes, and then Woody Johnson maybe said something, and Rodgers is like, well, if you think that's what's best for the team, I'm not going to stop you, something along those lines. But actually, I said I was down on the Jets. I believe in them in this game because the Bills right now look bad, really bad. A superstar quarterback that a lot of people thought should have won the MVP last year just completed 30% of his throws. And when it comes down to it, Khalil Shakir was out last game. James Cook was in, though. They could not do well offensively. It was up to C.J. Stroud making some poor mistakes late in the game. That was really the only reason why the Texans stayed in it. But Josh Allen just completed 30% of his throws. That's an issue. He's not played tremendous this season. He's played very conservative this season. But the last couple games, there's been 2 glaring issues. One would be the Texans couldn't quite do it because they were out Joe Mixon, who's back this week. But the Texans, normally, if Joe Mixon was in there, I guarantee you this would have been an issue. The Bills have had a tough time stopping the run against really good running backs. Derrick Henry ran all over the place on this team. And I think when you're going against the Jets, we think that Breece Hall is supposed to be a good running back. Braylon Allen has also been a shock to a lot of people. He's come up in some big-time moments. So I believe in the Jets for this game because I think that they have the upper hand. Interim head coaches actually, since 2010, have a surprisingly really good record in their first games. They're 15-9 because it's a new look. Teams can't really scheme against a coordinator or a coach because if they've never been a head coach before, they don't know what their style is. So I think what Ulbrich will do is, come into the Jets, go into the system and be like, okay, what's a massive problem? We can't run the football. Let's try to figure that out. Let's get Breece Hall a lot of carries. Let's do a bunch of short passes, which he's trying to do. Maybe, I don't know, not giving Allen Lazard so many targets because he currently leads the NFL in drops. Like last year, he led the league in drop percentage. Maybe stop force-feeding him because the likelihood that he'll drop a pass is extremely high right now. But when it comes down to the quarterback battle, I think it's closer than I think a lot of people thought it would be. It's kind of a split. 2-3 record, 3-2 records, 60 to 61% completion percentage, 1,100 yards, 10 total touchdown for Josh Allen, 2 turnovers. Those are 2 fumbles lost. He doesn't have an interception. He has 8 passing touchdowns, no interceptions. Meanwhile, shockingly, Aaron Rodgers has not played well this season. He has a lot of interceptions, a lot of issues there, 4 interceptions. Yards per attempt, 7.2 to 6.0. Passer rating is much better, but I think Josh Allen's just playing more conservative than Rodgers is because Rodgers has to. They have no running game. But against a Bills team that can't stop the run very well, I think we'll see Breece Hall finally emerge. That's what I'm banking on, and I'm hoping without Robert Salah there, the defense doesn't start to crumble. That would be an issue. That would prove the point that Robert Salah was a massive part of the defense's success. And also, how will the offense look with Todd Downing running the show instead of Nat Hackett, who everybody and their mother knew should not have been hired or should have been fired. And at this point, he's demoted. So he's basically fired already. How will that work out with a brand new system? Yeah. Ulbrich being the interim head coach, 15-9 record since 2010, and also Todd Downing calling plays instead of the atrocity that Nat Hackett has been in recent years.
Well, I think it's a lot of change in a very short period of time to expect a win on Sunday, and I think maybe Monday night. To think that Ulbrich's going to put his stamp on the team in less than a week, I think is not going to happen. I think they're going to be out there doing basically what they've been doing. I don't think there's them a lot of time to put a lot of new stuff in. So I think you'll see the Jets as you've been seeing them. I think it's really Aaron Rodgers. He's got to step up and play a lot better. You just showed. He's got 7 TDs, 4 interceptions. His quarterback rating, 82. Allen ranked 103. I think Allen, maybe a little too tough on him. In the Texans game, the pressure on him was unbelievable.
That's true.
All the offensive linemen had 3 or more pressures allowed in that game, and he only completed 30% of his passes as a result. And they had no running game to go with it. So and Shakir's hurt, so he really was out there by himself, and it showed. I think this week they'll do much better.
Well, I'm not sure about that because the history of Josh Allen is he doesn't perform very well against the Jets. Since Robert Salah's defense became one of the best defenses in the league, so since 2022, would you believe that Josh Allen has a 2-2 record, has lost games to Mike White, has basically 62% completion percentage, a 74 passer rating, 5 touchdowns, 6 picks? Josh Allen has not played well against this defense. Will that continue in this game? I expect it to because he doesn't have Stephon Diggs. Khalil Shakir, his number 1 target's out. James Cook, who has been a key cog in this efficiency of the offense, because we know Joe Brady likes to run it much more than pass. Keep the ball out of Josh Allen's hands, minimize his mistakes, minimize the modern-day Brett Favre a little bit. I think with basically their top 2 threats out, it'll be up to the rookie Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid. It'll be up to Josh Allen to not repeat what his history has been versing the Jets, which is poor performance in the past couple seasons.
Okay, and will also be up to the Bills' defense.
Which has a problem because they couldn't stop the run against the Ravens.
Yeah, but I
think Breece Hall, what people expect Breece Hall to be, is one of these top backs, which I've heard several times from a few Jets fans, that they expect him to be one of the top backs in the league, which we've seen his rookie year before he got hurt. He looked like a very competent back. He had a great season last year. This season, complete devastation, disappointment. And I think really Morgan Moses, I believe he's back, by the way. I think that'll help the run game out. He's already a really good pass protector.
Yeah.
I think in the running game, I think we'll see an uptick in that as well.
No. We'll see.
I got faith. I got faith in the Jets just for this week. I'm not saying for the full season. I do have them winning the division, and this would put them in first place, which is another question on why fire your head coach. When, once again, I don't have the numbers up anymore. The defense was never the problem, and Robert Salah is a defensive coach. It was always the offense. And Robert Salah was already going to fire, or at least demote, the offensive play caller in Nat Hackett. Nat Hackett, in his reputation recently, has been hired at the Broncos because they wanted Aaron Rodgers, was stuck at being the head coach, got fired towards the end of the year, didn't even complete the season because he was that poor. Sean Payton called him, the worst head coach in the history of the NFL?
Yeah, he apologized
something
for
like that. But he did say it. Then the Jets hire him because of Rodgers. They get Rodgers, make a bunch of bad moves that Rodgers wanted. He said he didn't want it, but who else would go out and get Alan Lazard, who has a massive drop issue, get Randall Cobb, who's been ineffective for like 6 years at this point, and try to make moves like that to appease Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. But I think right now, because Salah's fired, this is now Aaron Rodgers' team. This is the New York Rodgers. That's what this is.
Yeah.
This team will go as Aaron Rodgers goes.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason they're going to lose, because you don't let a team be run by one of the players, and particularly the quarterback, and one who's 40 years old and kind of looks like he's over the hill.
I'm picking the Jets, and
I'm picking the Bills.
Surprising selection later on in the show, which we're going to get into right now, which is we do this every week of the NFL season. We make our picks on a week-to-week basis. I had probably my best week so far, so let's begin actually with my picks. I was able to win outright this week, got the point spread, got the selection correct. 9-5 record, not bad, but I did go 500 again in the a little bit over actually in the point spread, which is pretty good for me. We've had a very bad year in the point spread. Very good last year, very poor this year. A lot of underdogs winning when they shouldn't have. Road favorites falling. It's been a complete mess this season. A lot of parity in the NFL, as there always is. But let's begin with my first list of selections. So let's jump into it. The first game, Jaguars at Bears. Now, this one, actually, I chose the Bears because in recent history, home teams that go away overseas do very well. We just saw the Minnesota Vikings capitalize on that, winning their game in London against the New York Jets. However, I will admit, Trevor Lawrence overseas has done very well. In London games, he's been an incredible quarterback, and he just hit a very high stride. But look at what the Bears have done so far. They're also hitting a high stride. Their running game's gotten going pretty well. The offensive line's picked up. Their defense is still great. Caleb Williams is hitting stride finally. We're seeing the Caleb Williams that we thought we would see, maybe not immediately, but what a lot of people are saying. This is what Caleb Williams should look like. He'll grow as the years go on, obviously. But what we've seen from Caleb is really, really good. Really good. It was just his roster that needed to really match where he was at. He had no running game. Offensive line was allowing so many pressures on him, couldn't throw the ball down deep. But now they're going. I believe in them. Chicago Bears take a win overseas, -1.5 point spread. I'll take it. Next one, Commanders at Ravens. This one's going to be a very, very fun game. This point spread actually may have moved. I saw it right before the show at -7 for the Ravens, but it doesn't matter for me. I'll take the Commanders to cover this point spread. The Commanders are the hottest team in the NFL right now. The Baltimore Ravens had two very, very good victories. Very great victories. Although the last one, you could argue, if the rookie punter doesn't botch a snap, the Bengals actually win that game. It was a very fun game to watch. Probably the game of the year. Very, very fun to watch. Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, I think, combined for 9 touchdowns amongst the two of them. Passing touchdowns, that is. Played great. Both quarterbacks played phenomenal. I will take the Ravens to win, but I do think this game will be very, very close. It'll be basically like last week. It'll be a shootout. And if it's going to be a shootout, well, I think the Commanders actually have a shot at winning this game because they're on an absolute tear. Jaden Daniels is what I thought, not to the extent. I thought Jaden Daniels would be incredible. Not like top 10, top 5 quarterback right now. Thought he'd be very good, but he's on an absolute tear. Commanders' running game also has been a shock. Offensive line has helped out Daniels to stay in the pocket more and throw and be able to have time, throw the ball down deep. I'll take the Ravens to win, Commanders to cover. This is actually one of my favorite picks of the week. Next one, Bucks at Saints. This one's an easy one for me. I'll take the Bucks to win and cover on the road here. Derek Carr's going to be out for a while. It'll be up to Spencer Rattler, a rookie. So I'm going to take the Bucks and their defense to capitalize. The rookie's going to make mistakes. Rattler's going to make a bunch of mistakes. I think Baker will cook this defense. I think all around, I think Rashad White's actually out for this game. But Bucky Irving, as long as he could hold on to the football, I think they'll have a pretty effective running game. But, who could go wrong with Baker Mayfield throwing it to Chris Godwin, Cade Otton, and Mike Evans? You really can't go wrong there. I'll take the Bucks to win and cover. cover a minus 3.5 point spread on the road. The next one, Browns at Eagles. I've bashed Deshaun Watson since the acquisition, since the Browns got him, because this was a ridiculous contract. The Browns are a desperate team. Desperate teams make desperate decisions, and 9.9 times out of 10, there end up being bad decisions, and this is just another one. But I can't pick the Eagles minus 9.5. I just can't do it. That's too many points for a team that is as volatile as the Eagles are. They're great one game. Then they're terrible the next, and then they're terrible the game after. And then when you pick them in one game, they fall apart late. I can't get a grasp on it. I really can't. I'm taking the Eagles to win, but there's no way. With Myles Garrett on the defensive side, I can't choose right now the Browns are middle of the pack defense, but I cannot choose a defense like the Browns to somehow just collapse against the Philadelphia Eagles team with Jalen Hurts making a mistake basically every single drive. I can't do it. Browns will lose this game. Eagles win, but Browns will cover a 9.5 point spread. I just can't do it against a team like the Eagles right now. Next one, Colts at Titans. A shocker, I think. The Titans are favored by minus 2.5 in this game, and I'm going to pick them. I would actually pick the Colts if Joe Flacco was starting, because what we saw last week was Flacco can still sling the damn ball. I'm sure the Browns would really love to have Flacco on their team right now. Instead, Jameis Winston, I think a lot of people are still calling for whatever backup quarterback they have because Watson is that bad. But I think if Will Levis just tones it down just a little bit, again, the self-inflicted wound, just tone it down, buddy. You're fine. Spears, running back, shocker. Tony Pollard, shocking this season. Very shocking this season. I think with Jonathan Taylor out as well, Michael Pittman nursing an injury, he'll be trying to play through it in this game. I think the Titans defense will try to slow down Richardson. Richardson's also come back from an injury. Too many injuries, too many people trying to play through them. The Titans relatively healthy. I believe in Will Levis for this game. I will take the Titans to win and cover a minus 2.5 point spread. The next one is the Texans versus the Patriots. Joe Mixon's back. Nico Collins is, I believe, on the IR. However, there's so many talent. There's so many pieces around C.J. Stroud. Joe Mixon's back now. Dalton Schultz, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs. I don't care. Keep it coming. Offensive line's great. Also, defensively, the Patriots have the worst offensive line in the entire of the NFL. You probably can't name a single offensive lineman besides Michael Wenu. Seriously. Because David Andrews is out. So who else you got? Vidarian Lowe, maybe? City So? I'm not sure, but right now their two tackles are basically nobodies. Absolutely nobodies. The Patriots have the worst offensive line in the NFL going up against Danielle Hunter as well as Will Anderson. Drake May is going to get murdered out there. My guess would be you're looking at 4.5, 5 sacks. If there's an over-under for sacks, 4.5, I'd bet the over on that one because I think Drake May staying in the pocket a little bit too long. He's going to get sacked. The offensive line's abysmal. So I think when it comes down to it, the Patriots defense already is actually middle of the road instead of being one of the top defenses. I'll take C.J. Stroud, who, by the way, I'm going to keep living in the C.J. Stroud Cloud 9 bubble right now after saying he should have been the first overall pick of 2 years ago's draft. I'll take C.J. Stroud beating out the Patriots. This one's pretty easy for me. Minus 6.5 point spread. I'll take it. The next one's, I don't know, actually. Cardinals at Packers? The Cardinals just beat the 49ers in a comeback victory. Are they a good team, but then just got bashed 2 weeks ago? I'm not sure what the Cardinals are. Are they the Eagles 2.0 with a little bit more security, with less turmoil internally? Maybe, probably. But I think the Packers right now, Jordan Love is not really hitting that stride he hit last season late. He's had a lot of interceptions, but he's kept games relatively close, I think. And also, the Packers' offense is getting healthier, which is massive. Romeo Doubs healthy, Christian Watson healthy, Josh Jacobs out there, Jordan Love's getting healthier each week. I'll take the Packers to win and cover a minus 5.5 point spread, but with this Cardinals team, sometimes playing great, sometimes falling apart, I'm not sure. I don't have a grasp on them. They're one of the teams that I don't really want to bet because I'm not sure how well they perform on a week-to-week basis, but I will take the Packers to win, cover a minus 5.5 point spread. The next one, Chargers minus 3-point favorites on the road against the Denver Broncos. Chargers coming off a bye, getting healthier. Justin Herbert came off the injury report today. The Broncos, however, have won 3 straight, and Bo Nix is looking better week after week, which does not really put the Chargers in a favorable position, but I think with Jim Harbaugh off a bye, their tackles are going to be back. Rashawn Slater right now, he was a limited participant. I'm sure he'll play this week. Well, Joe Alt, he's back. I believe he was a full participant in today's practice. I'll take the Chargers to win here. They're minus 3-point favorites on the road. I understand the Broncos defense has been insane the past couple weeks, but I'm trusting the better quarterback, the better offensive line, the better head coach, in my opinion. I'll take the Chargers to win and cover a minus 3-point spread. The next one is the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Las Vegas Raiders. Russell Wilson has been upgraded from quarterback 3, emergency quarterback, to now backup quarterback. Justin Fields still has the job. That's what I was shocked by. Apparently, according to Mike Tomlin, this is all about getting the rust off of Russell Wilson. So he's not giving Justin Fields the job for the entire season. He's just saying, if Russ Russ is now finally healthy, but once he knocks the rust off, then we're going to come to the question of who should be the starter, which is interesting. But the Steelers played poorly the past couple weeks. Their defense has really been a disappointment. TJ Watt, he started off the season great, but now has kind of been sort of middle of the pack, not had the same impact as he did early on in the season. But against a Raiders team that is garbage. We said this before the season started. They were doing a quarterback battle between Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. When those are the two quarterbacks you have to select between, you know you're going to be at the bottom of the league, which we've seen. They had one shocking victory against the Baltimore Ravens, but since then, it's been a tire fire. Devontae Adams is already 3 feet out the door. It's really not looking great, and now they have Aiden O'Connell starting. Not a great situation to be in. I believe in Justin Fields. I believe in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Here's a little spoiler. They're finally not in a Harvey hot hand. I do not have this game as one of my picks, but I will take the Steelers to win and cover a minus 3-point spread. The next one's Falcons at Panthers, minus 6.5 favorites for the Atlanta Falcons. I'll take them, and I'll take the points. Andy Dalton had a great first game and then came back down to earth real quick. The defense giving up a lot of points, a lot of yards. The defense can't hold up. Running game is becoming effective. Andy Dalton, interception here or there, not the same as he was in game 1. So much so they had to put Bryce Young in it late at the end of the last game. But the Falcons right now, they've seemed to hit some sort of really high stride. It wasn't an upset victory, but overtime victory against the Bucs last week. It was an impressive victory. We talked about it on the show. It was a great game to watch. I will take the Falcons on this high streak. Nearly beat the Chiefs, beat the Buccaneers late. Kirk Cousins had over 500 yards in that game too. I'll take them. Keep going with the hot streak that they had. I'll take them to win and cover in minus 6.5 point spread. The next one is the Lions at the Cowboys. Will they finally get the announce who's eligible correct in this game? I'm hoping. When it comes down to it, they draw up a beautiful 2-point conversion play, and this time Taylor Decker finally announced that he's eligible correctly, or whoever the head referee was, Brad Allen, the head referee, actually sees that he's announcing that he's eligible so they don't get screwed over. But I do think, off a bye, Dan Campbell, they're going to play beautifully into what the Cowboys don't do very well, stopping the run. I believe the Lions have the best 1-2 punch of running backs in Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery in the NFL this season. And also, I'm pretty sure we just saw, Jared Goff go 18 for 18 in the game. It was an incredible performance. But I will take the Lions here. I think the Lions are the better team. The Cowboys right now offensively, there's some issues there. They still can't run the ball incredibly well. Rico Dowdle had a very good game last game. But overall, they can't run the ball very well. They can't stop the run. Dak Prescott, he's okay, not great. I thought he'd be on an MVP revenge tour. I was very wrong. I think right now the Lions have the best offensive line. Meanwhile, Aiden Hutchinson is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL going up against Tyler Guyton. I think it's going to be a complete mismatch for the Cowboys. I'll take the Lions to win and cover a minus 3-point spread. The next one, Sunday Night Football, Bengals at Giants. A lot of people actually had a decent amount of money on the Giants here, and then Malik Neighbors is still out with a concussion, so this is an easy pick for me. I will take the Bengals minus 3.5-point favorites at the Giants. They just absolutely torched a Baltimore Ravens defense, which is dead last in passing, but I think when it comes down to it, what are the Giants going to look like? Right? Is Devin Singletary going to play? My guess is probably. I haven't seen anything or updates on whether or not Devin Singletary is available. I'm going to assume he is. I'm sure I could be marked wrong if anyone in the comments wants to tell me I'm wrong. But when it comes down to it, the Bengals are the better quarterback, better offensive line, better running back. I'll give the edge actually for the defense to the Giants. But I think when it comes down to it, Joe Burrow is a top 3 quarterback. He's a top 3 quarterback. And I still believe it's a hot take completely. Take accolades out of it. Take it out. Joe Burrow, tit for tat, is the best quarterback in the NFL. He's better than he beat Mahomes. Take Super Bowls out of it. head-to-head matchups, right? I think Joe Burrow's still the best quarterback when healthy in the NFL. I don't care about accolades right now. I'll deal with accolades back, when we head into January. Then we can talk about it. Joe Burrow, what we've just seen, best quarterback in the NFL. And then finally, Monday night. Bengals win cover -3.5 point spread. Next one, Bills at Jets. We already talked about this game. I have the Jets outright winning. If this was a +3 for the Jets, I may have the Bills winning potentially by 2. Or even by 3. If it was like a -3.5 for the Bills, I would have the Jets covering, but the Bills still winning. I think the Jets right now, interim head coach is 15-9 since 2010 in their first games. I think there'll be some sort of change around here. Nat Hackett will be out for offensive play calling. Robert Salah, I think it was really just a mercy killing. They had to keep someone accountable, and you can't fire Aaron Rodgers' best friend on the offensive side. So you got to do it from an interim head coach you can't really fire. So I'll take the Jets. It's a crazy pick, although we'll have to wait and see a little bit later in the show how crazy I actually am. But I'll take the Bills to lose. They're performing very poorly right now. Bills lose Monday Night Football. Jets win outright, and obviously cover a +2.5 point spread. You're actually doing very well. I believe you're positive in both point spread this season and win-loss, which is shocking. You had a 14-2 season or week to open up this year, which is incredible. We've both come back down to earth a little bit. Me from last year and you already from this year, but
yeah, I think you got some of them right there, but I don't think the Jets are going to win.
Well, yeah, we had a conversation. Now it's your pick.
Okay. So I won last night, but I didn't get the point spread right. The Jaguars and the Bears. This is overseas, so the Bears they win when they're at home, and they're the home team. And so the Jaguars are 1-4. The power ranking is 29. The Bears are climbing in the power rankings now at 17. They're 3-2. I don't think the Bears are going to do well over the whole season. I only have them winning 4 or 5 games. I think they're going to win on Sunday morning, watching from London. And we'll see. Caleb Williams playing a little bit better, but the Jaguars actually played well last week, and they won. And they have to stop winning if they think they've got any chance at all. 1-4, they go 1-5. Forget it, they're done. And you said, what's his name? The Trevor Lawrence plays very well overseas. I may have this one wrong. I haven't been doing so well picking against the Bears lately, but I'm picking them this time. So that means probably the Jaguars are going to win. But we'll see. The Commanders and the Ravens. I'm really impressed with the Commanders. They're 4-1. Their power ranking is 6. They're going up against the Ravens though, and I think the Commanders just too many young players against the Ravens team that has a great defense and has that killer running game and has Lamar Jackson who can take a broken play and turn it into something special. I just think it's going to be too much for the Commanders. I do have the Ravens winning, but I don't think they'll cover. I think it's going to be closer than 6.5. So we'll have to watch that game. I might watch that one on the NFL Network. I usually have 4 games up there. I'm going to be watching this one because I think it's going to be an interesting and close game. Tampa Bay against the Saints. This is, I don't know, Tampa Bay. We've said, who are they? I think we're still kind of wondering about that. It was when I thought when Baker Mayfield plays well, so go the Tampa Bay Bucs. If he's playing well, they win. If he plays lousy, they lose. Well, he played well last week, and they lost. It was the defense that was the problem. The Saints, on the other hand, started out really well, but they've fallen on hard times here. Their power ranking down to 16. The Bucs at number 7. I'm picking the Bucs to win here and cover the point spread at 3.5. The Browns against the Eagles. I like the Eagles in this game. The Browns, their power ranking number 30, right down at the bottom, a 1-4 record. They can't do anything right. Deshaun Watson, shadow of his former self. The Eagles, on the other hand, 2-2. They have Saquon Barkley, who's been good in every game. It's Jalen Hurts that's the issue. He keeps turning the ball over, particularly in the red zone. If he can have a clean game, I think they're going to win, and they'll cover that big point spread, and that's what I'm counting on, 9.5 points. They're going to beat the Browns handily at home. The Colts and the Titans. I am picking the Colts. And I was surprised the Colts lost last week. I was surprised they beat the Steelers. The fact that they did beat the Steelers is why I think they've got the strength and to be able to knock off the Titans. I think Will Levis coming back now, if he plays. I think if he plays, that's why they lose, because he keeps turning the ball over and making poor mistakes. I think if the other quarterback there for the Titans, Mason Rudolph, if he were in there, then I was going to pick the Titans, but it's not clear yet, so I'm assuming that Levis is going to play.
Yeah.
It is going to be Levis.
Yeah.
Then I think they lose. So I'm picking the Colts. Texans against the Patriots. This is a prohibitive favorite for the Texans. They're number 4 in the power rankings. They have a 4-1 record. Patriots, on the other hand, number 31, 1-4 record. I will be watching this game, and I'm excited about it because we get to see Drake May in his first game as a rookie.
We'll cover it. Yeah. We'll cover this game on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely we'll cover it. And we're Patriots fans. I love the Patriots. I owe them a lot, for all 6 Super Bowls. I was watching them all, and I was spoiled by them. Nowadays, we're falling on hard times. Hopefully, Drake May is our future answer here. I hope he has an opportunity to be back in the pocket and not overwhelmed every play in 1 second because the offensive line is a sieve. But I'm hoping he can make some plays, but I just don't. I think the Texans are one of the best teams in the NFL, and they're not going to have much trouble with the Patriots. The Cardinals against Green Bay, and the Cardinals showing some life, beating the 49ers. Green Bay, spotty. Hard to know how good they are. They do have a power ranking of 8, and the Cardinals at 22. The Cardinals seem to be an up-and-coming team. They have Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray throwing the ball to him. It looks like a winning combination there. Jordan Love, on the other hand, shaking off some rust last week, did manage to pull out a win, and now they're 3-2. I got them to win this game mainly because they're playing at home, and one of my best friends is going to be at the game. The Chargers against the Broncos, and I'm a little surprised, Nate, that you picked the Chargers in this one. The Chargers have got players coming back off injury. Their power ranking 19. The Broncos climbing now to 14. 3-2 record. Pretty amazing, I think. And I think Sean Payton could be the coach of the year here. You're
I'm going to have Dan Quinn right now.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Commanders.
Maybe, but I think that Sean Payton coming back with losing so many players and draft picks and things because of the Russell Wilson debacle and still putting a winning team out there on the field with a rookie quarterback, I think it's pretty impressive. And if he keeps winning here, I do think he will have a good shot at the coach of the year. And I think you're right. It will be between him and Quinn if the Commanders keep playing the way they've been playing. So I think the Broncos find a way to win, mainly because they're playing at home. Steelers against the Raiders. I like the Steelers. I like Justin Fields. I like the way he's been playing. I think they put him out there to manage the game. He's done that extremely well. A couple of games he's had to step up, and they've won. They've lost 2 in a row now, and they were tough losses. I was very surprised they lost against the Colts. But I think the Raiders, as you say, they're not good at all. They're ranked 25 in the power rank. They're 2-3. The Steelers ranked number 10, 3-2. We need to see T.J. Watt step up again here and really make his presence known. So I'm counting on the Steelers to win this game and cover the point spread. The Falcons at the Panthers. The Falcons prohibitive favorite here. Cover the point spread at 6.5. As you said, Andy Dalton coming back to earth after a nice start with the 3 touchdown passes and 300 yards passing. The Panthers 1-4, ranked dead last in the power rankings. The Falcons playing well and growing, coming up in the power rankings, 3-2 now in first place. Raheem Morris questioning why they picked Michael Penix now. I see him hugging and kissing Kirk Cousins on the sideline there after winning the game against the Bucs last week, which was a really exciting game. I've got the Falcons in this one. The Cowboys and the Lions, I'm picking the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys have a history now of winning at home, finding a way to win. And I think they've lost the last 2 games at home, which is very uncommon for them. They're going to get back on track. They have the 13th power ranking. The Lions at number 3. The Lions coming off a bye, going to be rusty. They are 3-1. But something about the Lions I just don't trust sometimes. And I think this is the game where they get upset and the Cowboys find a way to win at home. The Bengals at the Giants. The Bengals prohibitive favorites here. As you say, Joe Burrow, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Even though their power ranking is 24, they've fallen on hard times, principally because of their defense. They're 1-4. They played some tough teams, and now they're playing one of the easier ones. The Giants ranked 23 in the power rankings, so the 2-3 record. They won't have Malik Neighbors, although they didn't really need him last week. Darius Slayton having a very good game. That could happen again. Daniel Jones playing a lot better this year, but the Bengals having a crummy defense. It could be a very close game, but I think the Bengals are going to win and cover the point spread. We talked a lot about Buffalo and the Jets already. I'm picking Buffalo, number 7 in the power ranking. The Jets, number 20. The Jets have a very good defense. That will make it tough for Josh Allen. Josh Allen, a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers now. You showed the stats there. It's got 102 quarterback ranking. Aaron Rodgers down in the 80s. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to throw some more picks. I think this coaching thing is a debacle. The Buffalo Bills will win and cover that game. And those are my picks, Nate.
All right, so it's going to be fun to watch out how Week 6 actually comes down to it. But now it's time for my favorite topic of every single Friday show. It is my Harvey Hot Hand. For those who don't know what the Harvey Hot Hand is, it's where I give you the 5 teams and 5 games that you should bet on to win or sometimes to cover but lose, which we have in some cases in this week. But it's going to be a fun week, and this segment is brought to you by Dr. Squatch. You go to www.drsquatch.com/Nathan Harvey and get $10 off orders to $20 or more, or you can hit the link in the description. Same thing applies. $10 off for orders to $20 or more for new customers. But let's begin with 2 and 3 week. We need to bounce back here, and we will with this week. I believe in my picks, so let's begin with the first pick of the Harvey Hot Hand for Week 6.
Commanders at Ravens.
So what if this is a shocking game? I know. Ravens, Lamar Jackson, MVP candidate, 2-time MVP candidate. Meanwhile, they're going up against the Washington Commanders. Bad defense. It's actually a very, very poor defense. Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback. But hey, check this out. The Commanders have the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL, and shockingly, the number 2 rushing offense in the NFL. Meanwhile, the Ravens have the worst pass defense in the NFL. And really, if we're going to be honest here, they should have lost to the Cincinnati Bengals if it weren't for a rookie punter botching a snap. When we take a look at Washington, they're the hottest team in the NFL right now. Jaden Daniels playing out of his mind. And also, if we take a look at something that a lot of people thought would be the detriment of this team, their offensive line, they're actually ranked as the 5th best pass blocking offensive line according to Pro Football Focus. They're an absolute tear. And a lot of people are saying, well, what about Lamar's record against NFC teams? Correct. He is 21-1 straight up against NFC teams. But against the spread, he's 11-11. So I have a lot of faith in the Commanders, especially with the way they're playing recently, to at least cover a massive point spread with the Commanders on a tear, 6.5 point spread. Ravens win 34-31, but the Commanders do in fact cover a plus 6.5 point spread. The next one.
Lions at Cowboys.
So I don't think this time it'll be up to Taylor Decker trying to figure out how to announce that he's eligible, or Brad Allen trying to screw over the Lions in that way by not announcing that he was eligible, and that whole debacle that happened at the end of the last time these played. But this is a revenge game for Dan Campbell, for this offensive line, for Jared Goff, and even for this defense. But speaking about the Lions defense, Aiden Hutchinson has been one of the best, if not the best, pass rusher in the NFL this season. He's number 1 in sacks, number 1 in quarterback hurries, number 1 in pressures. Would you believe that Tyler Guyton, as well as Terrence Steele, combined for 27 pressures allowed. They're the two worst offensive linemen that the Cowboys have, and they line up exactly where Aiden Hutchinson attacks on the outside. So I think Aiden Hutchinson's going to feast, generate a bunch of pressures. We're going to see a tremendous performance, as well as we go the other side of this. The Cowboys defense. Lawrence is out. Micah Parsons hasn't practiced all week. Going up against the Lions' second best offensive line. Well, I think a lot of people actually think the Lions have the best offensive line in the NFL. I do, in fact, believe that they do. Jared Goff, the last time we saw him play, completed 18 of 18 throws. It was an incredible performance. I think they keep that up. And we have to remember, look at the Cowboys next week. Because so far, we saw the 49ers last year. Every team that played them the following week that they lost. The Lions are on that trend right now. If you play them the following week, you end up losing because they just beat you to all hell with the amount of pressure and the amount of sacks that Aiden Hutchinson's causing. The Cowboys, actually, their worst part of their team is their running defense, and they're going up against the best 1-2 combo, 1-2 punch, thunder and lightning of David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. I believe in the Lions. I'll take the Lions to win 28-20 and cover a -3 point spread. The next one.
Cardinals at Packers.
This one I'm a little bit worried about because I don't know what the Cardinals are exactly. I have no idea. They suck one week, and then they upset the 49ers the next week. I'm not entirely sure. They beat the crap out of the Bills in the first half, but end up losing in that game. I can't get a full grasp on the Cardinals, but what I do know is that the Packers, I think Matt LaFleur is a legitimate head coach. He's a top 5 head coach in the NFL. And I think with Jordan Love playing the way he has, it's not great, but it's good enough. Nearly beating the Minnesota Vikings. They won with Malik Willis being their quarterback. Run the football. They're getting healthier with Christian Watson out there. Defensively for the Packers, Xavier McKinney. What a phenomenal offseason pickup. I'm sure the Giants might want to have him back, but he has an interception in every single game so far. The Packers lead the league in explosive plays. Arizona has the 25th ranked defense in the NFL. And here's something else. The Packers have the 11th best run defense in the NFL, while Arizona is only the 25th. They have the 5th best run offense. Well, if you take a look at it, who have the Cardinals actually struggled against? Top-tier run defenses. They rely heavily on Kyler Murray rolling out of the pocket, making big plays in their run game. I think the Packers will try their best to neutralize that impact that Kyler Murray could have. I'll take the Green Bay Packers to cover a -5.5 point spread and win 30-24. The next one.
Chargers at Broncos.
This one, you were shocked that I picked the Chargers to win here, but if we take a look at it, Jim Harbaugh, great coach, wins everywhere he goes. Justin Herbert getting healthier. He's off the injury report. They're getting both their tackles back in near full health. I don't believe the Broncos can win 4 straight. I don't trust Bo Nix to actually go out and perform that well this consistently for this long period of time. I think the big word of the game will be pressure. That's what the Chargers should put up in every single corridor they have in that building. Pressure, because when Bo Nix gets pressured, he's last in passing yards. He's the second worst passer rating, last in yards per attempt, and tied second for the most interceptions when pressured. You have to pressure Bo Nix. He makes mistakes. And I also think in this game, we'll see the reemergence of J.K. Dobbins after he's had a relatively quiet season since the first couple weeks where he actually ran all over the entirety of the NFL. I believe in the Chargers. I believe in Justin Herbert. I believe in Jim Harbaugh. I'll take the Chargers to win 21-17 and cover a -3 point spread. And the final one, the final Harvey hot hand pick of week 6 is
Bills at Jets.
This one's a close one. I believe the Jets can do it, though. I really do. Josh Allen does not play well against the New York Jets since 2022. Since then, he has a 2-2 record, 62% completion percentage, a 74 passer rating, 5 touchdowns, 6 picks in his lost games to Mike White. That's an issue. Now you have Aaron Rodgers, who's supposed to be a better quarterback than what they've had in the past, although through 5 games they have the same amount of points scored. That's a little bit shocking. But interim head coaches, I said this earlier on the show, interim head coaches do actually pretty well in their first game. Since 2010, they're 15-9. That's a shocking record, at least in my opinion. Also, the Bills are down their top 2 threats, most likely at least one of them. Khalil Shakir, he's out for this game. James Cook, he hasn't practiced all week, and my guess is he'll be either a game-time decision or just won't go. So if you're down already your top 2 targets, look at what Josh Allen just did with one of them out. He was just down Khalil Shakir and only completed 30% of his passes. I have an issue against that. So Josh Allen does not play well against the New York Jets. He's down his top 2 targets. Stephon Diggs ain't there no more. So if you're down already your number 1 target in Khalil Shakir and James Cook, who is a vital part of how this offense runs, I have a problem with the Bills trying to win here. I have the Jets upsetting the Buffalo Bills, winning 23-20, obviously covering a +2 point spread. Those are my picks. Harvey Hot Hand brought to you by Dr. Squatch. www.drsquatch.com/Nathan Harvey, or go down in the description below. Click that link, get $10 off orders of $20 or more for new customers. Thank you for supporting this show. But obviously, after we do this every single week, I get your thoughts on what you think my picks are. So what do you think? Like them, dislike them, what you got?
I'm surprised you didn't pick Steelers over the Raiders.
I've picked the Steelers in every single Harvey Hot Hand pick for the past, I think, 3 weeks. I do not have a good record when picking the Steelers. I do not.
Okay, and then why wouldn't you have taken the Falcons over the Panthers?
I thought that some of these games, for instance, so who would you replace the Falcons with? Those are my picks.
I would.
Who would you replace the Packers with? Or the Falcons with?
The Bills, Jets. I think the Bills are going to win.
I don't trust Josh Allen now.
Yeah.
They're not playing well.
Okay, well, that would be the one I would swap.
There are two that I thought about. Texans, Patriots, although who knows what Drake May will look like. I have no idea.
Yeah, that's another one.
And then Buccaneers, Saints. Spencer Rattler's the starting quarterback for the Saints. How are they going to perform with Rattler, a rookie quarterback, against the Buccaneers? I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. I think I don't have the overall record up right now, but we do have a losing record. We have a 44% winning percentage, which you look around, it's very common this season. Very common. So
the NFL parity.
Yeah, no,
Not many
it's
undefeated teams, only a couple.
Yeah.
Is there only one now, right?
No, Vikings and Chiefs.
Chiefs, right? The Chiefs are undefeated.
So, we'll cover a bunch of the big-time games on Tuesday's show, but for this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We have been the hosts of the Harvey Hour. Catch us Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll cover all of Week 6 right here on YouTube.
See you tomorrow, Grandpa.
Traveling can be a nightmare. Why? You can't watch your favorite shows abroad. You can't trust public Wi-Fi spots anymore. And when you return, roaming bills kill your vibe. Unless you get a NordVPN and Saley deal. NordVPN will increase your privacy online. And Saley, a global eSIM data app,